All right, let's just get right into it. Have you ever gotten a compliment and instead of feeling great, you just kind of felt nothing? You know that feeling? Or maybe you've just noticed that praise, in general, doesn't really land the way it used to. Well, in this explainer, we're going to unpack that exact mystery, why compliments are starting to feel a little, well, worthless.
Now, crisis might sound a little dramatic, but doesn't it feel that way sometimes? It's this weird, unspoken thing a lot of us are experiencing in our daily lives, both online and in person. We're giving out praise, we're getting it, but the actual emotional value just seems to have evaporated. So today, we're going to figure out exactly why.
So yeah, this is the big question, right? Why does that great job from your boss or that you look amazing from a friend sometimes fall completely flat? It feels like it should mean something, but it just doesn't. What on earth has changed?
To really get what's going on, we need to totally reframe how we think about this. Let's stop thinking of compliments as just words for a second and start thinking of them as, well, money, a form of currency. And just like any currency, their value can go up and it can go way, way down.
The best way to picture this is to think about economic hyperinflation. You've seen those old photos, right? When a government just prints and prints and prints money, and suddenly each dollar, or whatever the currency is worth basically nothing. You need a whole wheelbarrow full of cash just to buy a loaf of bread. Well, that is exactly what's happening to compliments.
So if we're living through a kind of emotional hyperinflation, you have to ask, who's running the printing press? What's causing this absolute flood of new currency? And that brings us to what we can call the validation market and how social media completely changed the game.
And here it is. This is the fundamental shift. The validation market, the space where we trade approval and recognition, it used to be a lot smaller. It was your family, your friends, your community. But then social media came along and just opened the floodgates. Now there's an endless 24/7 supply of validation coming from every corner of the planet.
This is the new money being printed in mind-boggling quantities. Likes, comments, shares, DMs, follows, these are all tiny little micro doses of validation. They're super quick, they're easy, and they are everywhere. I mean, think about it. We're probably getting more compliments in a single day than people just a few generations ago got in a whole month.
So what's the result of this flood? Well, when you're swimming in this constant sea of easy-to-get digital likes and fire emojis, a single, genuine, spoken compliment from one person in the real world can feel kind of small, can it? It feels less special. Its value has been totally diluted by the sheer volume of everything else. Okay, so this whole dynamic, this feeling that you've probably had but maybe couldn't quite put your finger on, it actually has a name. And when you see it laid out as a clear framework, everything starts to make a lot more sense.
Yeah, this isn't just some random thing that's happening to us. It's actually a pretty predictable outcome of our new social economy. And putting a name to it helps us really understand the mechanics behind what we're all feeling.
And here it is. It's called the emotional inflation theory. And honestly, it's a simple but really powerful idea. An oversupply of attention, all the likes, the comments, the constant feedback, it basically destroys the perceived value of any single act of validation. It just perfectly describes what's going on.
The whole process really breaks down into 3 simple steps. First, you get the attention oversupply, right? The market is just flooded with cheap validation. Second, that leads to value destruction. Each individual like or comment is worth just a little bit less. And third, the end result is impact reduction. The old school traditional forms of praise, they just don't hit the same way anymore. So, this leads us to a really important question. If the old currency is devalued and the whole market is flooded with cheap praise, what are we supposed to do now? What's actually valuable? Where do we find the new gold standard when it comes to real human connection?
Okay, so we've pretty much laid it all out. We're living in a world where attention is basically infinite and our praise currency has been seriously inflated.
So I'm going to leave you with this to think about. In a world that is just awash with cheap validation, what is the new gold standard? Maybe it's not about simple praise anymore. Maybe it's about something that takes effort, specific, thoughtful recognition. In this age of emotional inflation, what actions and what words actually carry real weight for you?